Moving to the dream country. For some, it's an Instagram picture. For some, it's an escape from routine. And for many, it's a step in search of a better future. But what if there is another side hiding behind the dream? What if the reality is painfully different from expectations? Welcome to the Immigrantinlaw channel. Today, a difficult but important topic: moving to dreamland, when reality doesn't match expectations. And if you're already in the process or just thinking about immigration, watch to the end. You will save not only money but also internal resources. Let's be honest, where does it usually start? Pictures. You flip through Instagram, see posts with ocean views, a cup of coffee on the balcony, a caption like "New life, new me," and something inside clicks. Then YouTube. How I moved to Europe and found myself. People sharing success stories, smiling, riding bikes, sitting in cafes. It feels like this is it. Just take a step and another reality begins. And then logic kicks in. You start to collect information, articles, public forums, Telegram chats, videos with titles like "Moving to Portugal in 3 months, my experience." And there, more often than not, one side is presented, the one where everything worked out. There's no malice in that. It's just that most immigrants, especially in the public eye, have an inner need to justify their choice. If I moved, then it's the right thing to do. Got to tell the good stories. And the difficulties are often glossed over or described in passing. And here you are already head over heels in this information. You have a plan, even if it is vague, but emotionally it looks like this. I'm moving. I find housing quickly. The kids are adapting. They have a good school. I'm working remotely or starting something of my own. And on the weekends, traveling, walking, enjoying life. That's what expectation is. It is formed not from facts, but from images. And the problem is that it is often built on other people's experience, stories taken out of context, and too general phrases like "it's better there." Language is not about school level. Many people believe, "I'm not a bad speaker, I can manage." But in reality, it turns out that phrases of the level "my name is" do not help when you need to. File an insurance claim, fill in a tax return, explain your child's symptoms to a doctor, call the administration about residence permit. Written language, spoken language, professional language. These are 3 different universes. And here you are in a situation. You seem to understand, but you cannot say, or they don't understand you, and the stress builds up. Every trivial task turns into a barrier. And then there's the feeling of helplessness and anxiety. Work isn't always a top shelf start. I'm a specialist. I have a degree, experience, cases. I'll be in demand. This is true, but not immediately. Many people are faced with the following. Their diplomas need to be confirmed. Without local experience, they are not even called for an interview. Work permits are processed slowly, and the requirements are different from those at home. As a result, many start not as product managers, but as assistants. Or they go into a field far away from their main profession. And the main thing is that no one warns you about this. The feeling that something is wrong with me, even though this is a typical way of doing things. Culture shock is not a myth. Even if you move to a similar country, the difference is felt. The pace of life, communication ethics, personal boundaries, humor, rules of politeness, everything can be different. Somewhere it is not customary to enter into a conversation first. Somewhere you won't be invited to visit even after a year of socializing. Somewhere being 5 minutes late is considered disrespectful. You may seem rude or weird or too open simply because you have a different frame of reference. It's draining. Unconsciously, you begin to shut down and lose your sense of belonging. Children and schools are not always easy. If you have children, prepare for a double level of adaptation. While you are dealing with documents and work, they have to get used to a new language, fit into a foreign team, cope with isolation, understand the education system. Yes, European schools are often more lenient, but this does not mean that it is easy for the child. Without the right support, adaptation can take a long time. And if a child feels bad, all members of the family suffer. Loneliness. It's something that almost no one talks about in advance. You move, you immerse yourself in new tasks, and suddenly you realize you're alone. Friends are far away. In new circles, everything is superficial. No one is interested in who you were there. No close conversations, no homies. At first it looks like newness. Then comes the worrying thought, and if I get sick, who will help me? For some, loneliness is intensified by cultural differences. For others, it is due to busyness, when there is no time to even try to fit in. You've moved in. The initial shock is over. The paperwork is done. The kids are in school. You've found a job. Everything seems to be falling into place, but there's an emptiness inside. It's a state that many people can't immediately name. You feel fatigue, irritation, apathy. Little things that used to be happy cease to cause emotions. You don't cry, but you're not happy either. You're just living on autopilot. This is the non-public side of immigration. It does not start in the first month, but 6-12 months later when the novelty phase is over. Why is this happening? The goal has been achieved. But there is no new sense. While you were moving, you had a clear task: to collect documents, go through interviews, find accommodation, arrange everything for a child. But when everything is done, there is a vacuum. The brain works inertly and there is no sense of purpose. Hidden stress builds up. Every small decision in immigration is a burden. A new doctor, a new payment system, finding the right form, a difference in the parking rule. In your home country, you did it automatically. Here, everything has to be re-understood. Even going grocery shopping in the first few months is a cognitive load. You don't notice it, but you get tired faster. You have fewer internal reserves. And there comes a point when you just want to shut yourself off from the world. Family dynamics are changing. Many couples admit the move was a dream come true, but we didn't know it would test us like this. Some adapt faster, others lag behind. One spouse has no friends, the other has a career, and amidst this difference come resentments, tension, and emotional distance. There's a feeling of, I'm not the same anymore. Immigration takes away part of your identity. Back home, you were a professional, you had a reputation, status. And here, it's all over again, and you are not always seen as you were. What if it was in vain? The doubt syndrome. After a year or two, the dangerous question arises. Was it worth it? It is not always logical. It often appears against the background of accumulated tension, loneliness, or simple fatigue. And if there is no support around, a person can become depressed. What's so dangerous about it? Immigration burnout is not laziness, caprice, or invented problems. It is a real condition that affects psyche, relationships, motivation, quality of life. And if it is not recognized in time, it can lead to an emotional setback when a person starts to destroy everything he or she has built, quits, quarrels with a partner, drops out of training, returns home in despair. Moving isn't a magic start a new life button. It is a big project. And as in any project, the result depends not on luck, but on the quality of preparation and the ability to adapt. That's what really helps you get through this journey without feeling like you're sailing alone on a stormy sea. Don't idealize. Make a plan. The first and foremost thing is to abandon romanticism. The country is not a good mom or an immigrant's paradise. It is a complex system. Do a real audit before you make a decision. What is the economy like in the country? What taxes are waiting for you? Which professions are in demand and which are not? What is the level of medicine? How much does it cost to rent and how long is it realistic to find a place to live? How quickly can you start earning an income? This job is more boring than watching a video from the beach, but it saves you from frustration, because the more accurate your expectations are, the less likely you are to experience burnout. Talk to people who've been down this road. Collect real stories, not success stories, but complete ones, with mistakes, difficulties, and nuances. Live communication with people who have already moved is an invaluable source of information. It is from them that you will learn. How did they look for an apartment? How long did it take for the children to adjust? What would they have done differently? Ask uncomfortable questions. How much did you spend in the first year? What was the hardest part? Did you face discrimination? It's better than having to go through the same mistakes later on. Don't try to save on preparation. We often see people trying to do everything themselves. And this is normal, as long as it is not a question of a complicated visa, legal nuances, or the subtleties of adaptation. Consultations with lawyers, migration specialists, tax consultants. This is not expensive. It's prevention of big losses. It's the same with language. Online lessons on YouTube are not the same as focused training with a teacher who knows exactly what situations await you in immigration. A good language is your security, freedom, and confidence. Don't skimp on this. Prepare the children emotionally. Children are scared too. And even if they don't show it, it can be a storm inside them. Not all children get used to it quickly. Some freeze. Others start to protest, with aggression or withdrawal. Your task is not just to send your child to school, but to give him or her a foothold. Maintain familiar rituals. Give more body and emotional contact. Do not demand a quick adjustment. Explain that whatever he feels is normal. Do not ignore warning signs: insomnia, detachment, frequent crying. If you can, work with a child psychologist. Better in advance than later in emergency mode. Take your time. It's trite, but it works. Don't demand everything from yourself at once. Don't compare yourself to others. Everyone has their own pace. Someone reaches a stable income in 3 months, someone in 10. Someone has children adapt quickly, someone after a year and a half. There is no failure in this. It's life. Create a space for yourself where you cannot be a perfect immigrant. Give yourself the right to make mistakes, to be tired, to doubt. And most importantly, don't stay in isolation. No one needs to hold on to the last one, proving that you can do it on your own. Moving is not an exam. It is a process that becomes easier when you are not alone. Very often people come for help when everything has already gone wrong. When the visa is denied, deadlines are missed, documents are submitted with mistakes, children's school hours are not counted, and the accommodation turned out to be by word of mouth, not by contract. And every time we are told the same phrase, we should have done it earlier. Except that earlier is when you have just started thinking about moving, not when you have already bought tickets or signed a contract. When you're not sure where to start. Even if you are only in the thinking phase, a consultation with an immigration specialist will help. Understand which programs are better for you. What is feasible in terms of time, budget, and documents. What will require additional steps. For example, credentialing, health insurance, children's documents. Your job is not to wander in the darkness of the forums, but to gather a concrete picture. When it seems like it's all clear, this is a trap. Very often people, especially those with good education and experience, are sure that they will figure it out on their own, but there are a lot of nuances that are not obvious. Submission deadlines for a particular visa, insurance regulations in a particular country region, taxation peculiarities for remote workers, requirements for renting accommodation when applying for a residence permit. Not knowing the details could cost you months of waiting or even rejection. When you move with your children, partner, or parents, each family member is a separate case, and if you don't synchronize your strategy, the following can happen. One was approved for a visa and the other was denied. Children were not accepted to school because you submitted the wrong translation. A parent was not granted a residence permit because of lack of dependency. We see it every day. And dealing with problems after the fact is always more expensive, both financially and emotionally. When deadlines are tight or the situation is unusual. For example, you want to move after a divorce. You have a temporary contract or unstable income. You have a history of administrative penalties. You have already received one refusal. Your business is registered outside the EU, but you plan to open in Europe. The more complex the case, the earlier you need to look for support. When you don't want to test for yourself, moving on your own is not a heroic deed. It's just a method that sometimes works and sometimes fails. You don't get your teeth fixed by YouTube, do you? So why is it different with immigration? A reliable support doesn't guarantee everything will be easy, but it definitely reduces risks, removes chaos, and saves you months of your life. At Immigrantinlaw, we don't work with cases. We work with people. We don't fit a template for the program. We build a route for you, taking into account your goals, your profession, your weaknesses and how to close them, and your character if necessary. Because it's not just documents that matter in immigration. It's about feelings, fatigue, uncertainty, panic. And it is important to have someone around who not only says everything is according to plan, but also knows what to do if the plan suddenly changes. Immigration is not magic. It's a project. Yes, it is difficult, sometimes painful, but if it is organized correctly, it brings results. If you want to move to Europe, but do not want to get burned by other people's mistakes, leave a request for a free consultation with Immigrantinlaw lawyers. We will choose the best relocation strategy for you, prepare all the necessary documents, explain in detail the nuances of the legislation, and answer all your questions. We will analyze your case, your goals, your situation, without templates. Want to learn more or start the process today? Contact us. All contacts are listed in the description below this video. We're here to help you take a confident step toward a new life. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel and ask your questions in the comments. I will be happy to answer them. Discover the world of opportunities with Immigrantinlaw.